Well, normally on Thursdays we review TNA and Ring of Honor as our top priority. But however, due to some circumstances that moi, did not know, TNA decided to revive certain matches throughout 2024. So there is no TNA. But however, we do not, of course, dismiss Ring of Honor because, as you know, this was their go home show before we go to Final Battle, the last pay per view event of Ring of Honor. So a lot of things could happen. We do have the tag team match between Billie Starkz and Athena before they get on to their world title match at Final Battle. So a lot of things could happen. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling with their recent event, Winter Story, featuring various matches and, of course, certain matches that lead to prelims, such as, of course, Miyu Watanabe facing Mizuki for the pop title. Don't forget, Miyu Watanabe is the current champion, so we will see about that. And then, of course, we have the much recent event by All Japan Pro Wrestling with Battle of Kimitsu in December, and it has various matches as well. And then, of course, we do have some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everybody, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have been said. I believe it's time to Need for Speed. So, let's begin with our very first review, and this is, of course, from Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Alrighty then. Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling with Winter Story. Now, this particular event happened this past Sunday on December 14th. So, as always, we have Sayuri Namba actually doing the opening, greeting the fans, giving the info on the matches that are happening for the day. But of course, we jump in later with the Up Up Girls. Now, I don't know what song they were performing, but it was a good performance. Now, let's jump in with, of course, with our first match. Our first match we have is Ura Takami taking on Zuzumi. Now, of course, Takami has a bit of the lesser experience than Zuzumi, so many of you may think that this one's going to fall into Zuzumi's hands. Well, it kind of did, because Zuzumi actually applied the bell, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. It's over. Our next match, we have tag team action. We have Chika Manaze teaming up with Raku, who loves trains. Yep. They take on Haruna Neko and Yuki Kamifuku. Now, the one thing, of course, that everybody has to keep an eye out: do not let Raku sing the lullaby, or yep, you fall asleep. I mean, she did that, but of course, you probably would expect it. However, what was cool is Haruna Neko. I don't know if she ever done anything cool since I first saw her. She does like a what you think a roll and then jumping into. It looks more like a code breaker. I don't know for sure if I saw that clearly. I thought it was pretty cool. It worked their favor and picked up a match of the win on Chika Manaze, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So I have to say that's pretty cool. Now our next match, we have the rookie from part of the internet, like a foreign exchange, Ivy Steele. She teams up with one half of Daisy Monkey, Arusu Endu. They take on Moka Miyamoto and of course Rika Tatsumi. Now don't forget, when it comes to Rika Tatsumi, she may be cool, but at the same time she likes to play games, like try to play a little the dirty tricks. That's always been her trademark. Now, of course, many of you would think that Rika Tatsumi, who is one of the top stars, would definitely win. But however, it was Moka Miyamoto who, in fact, picked up the win when she put Ivy Steele in a submission, and just like that, she had no choice but to tap, giving the win to, of course, Miyamoto and Tatsumi. So, just like that, it was over. Our next match, we have Yoshiko Hasegawa taking on Hyper Mizawa. Now, of course, when it comes to Hyper Mizawa, she does her little usual thing, speaks and do a little promo and all that during the beginning, right after the bell ring. But however, as in type of match, she does things. But however, Hyperzawa actually picked up the win by pinfall. Now, of course, we jump into the promo. Now, I don't know what she said to Hasegawa, but by the time she was about to finish, we had a little surprise visit from Super Sasandago Machine. I don't know what he was doing. It seems like he had a gift for her, but however, Hyper Misawa's closest friend, of course, Rika Tatsumi showed up. I don't know what was going on, but of course, Super Sandago Machine got his behind kicked by two women. So basically, I don't know what they said. I don't know what he did to offend them, but I think he made a mistake, whatever he did to get himself involved in this. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, our next match, we have Hiwa Mari taking on Pam Harajuku. Yep. So it's interesting, Pam Harajuku. She's really fun to enjoy, not to mention. Not, I'm sure she's happy as a clown that she's a champion, especially if it's not a title based out of Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, but based from the Thailand promotion setup. But of course, you would think that she was going to pick up the win when she did, when she applied the Palm de Justice, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. Now, our next match, we have Kaya Toribami, Yuki Aino, and Shoko Nakajima taking on the apologetic Mahiro Kiru, and of course, the current Princess Tag Team Champions, Maki Ito and Miyu Yamashita. Now, of course, you would think that, of course, when it comes to the opposition of the tag champions, one of them would be able to pick up the win for a shot of the tag belts. Well, that did not happen. But in fact, it was Yamashita. I don't know what exactly she did. It looks more like a Death Valley Bomb that picked up the win onto Kaya Toribami. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Now for our main event, we have, of course, another 6-woman tag match. We have Shino Suzuki, Wakana Uhara, and of course, Mizuki, who is the challenger for the Princess of Princess Championship. They take on Aru Kazushito and Toga, along with the current champion herself, Miyu Watanabe. So that kind of sets it up. But one thing I did like is how this match ended. If you guys know Miyu Watanabe, she has fantastic strength. I mean, she has always used the big swing that Claudia Castagnoli did. She is one of the most, how to say, well-respected wrestlers, but also one of the most amazing wrestlers we watch. She put, of course, both Shino and Mizuki on top of her right shoulder to do a double teardrop. I'm like, you gotta be effing kidding me. I mean, her strength is resilient. I mean, don't let the cuteness fool you, folks. But when it comes to her strength, it's amazing. I mean, we've seen her pick up bigger individuals when it comes to the giant swing, but putting two people to do a teardrop on both of them in the same arm, you gotta be effing kidding me. But it was fantastic. But however, the person who was legal in that scenario was Shino Suzuki, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. So fantastic. I loved it. But of course, we do have the usual post-match promo, what they're going to happen, because we know that Mizuki and Miyu Watanabe will be facing off for the belt, but we'll see what that leads to. But for right now, let's end things here with Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling and move on with All Japan. Okay, All Japan Pro Wrestling, Battle of Kimitsu in December. Now, I cannot remember the location, the place where they were at, but this took place this past Monday. So let's get started from the beginning. We have the young boy himself, Taishin Nagawa, taking on Hideki Suzuki. Now, of course, many of you think this match would end quickly, but yeah, it kind of did. But however, this match ended with Suzuki applying what appears to be a Spanish suplex, but instead of holding it, he let him go until he decided to apply the pinfall, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Our next match, we have Okudo Omori teaming up with Kuma Arashi, taking on Seigo Tachibana and Yuma Aoyagi. Now, nothing too significant of this match whatsoever, but the one thing that was very, very cold and calculated is Omori giving a kick in the groin to Tachibana in order to do a sunset flip to pick up the win. The ref did not see it. So basically, just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was a done deal. Next match, we have Fuminori Abe taking on Cyrus. Now, of course, this is a much bigger challenge. Fuminori Abe, a very strong, capable wrestler who is not afraid of anything or anybody. However, the one thing that was really sucked is that his second, Aoyagi, who was right there with him, was attacked by, of course, a Goon, and then they posted him and Fuminori Abe both on top of each other just long enough for Cyrus to do a Vader bomb. And then when it was over, but the one person who was the legal was Fuminori Abe. Some of you may ask what happened to the ref. Simple, he was knocked out thanks to a Goon, just like that. So that kind of caused a distraction. Now, our next match, we have a bit of a six-man tag match. We have Hiroshi Yamada, Seiki Yoshioka, and of course Musashi. They take on Andy Wu, Rugi Hijikata, and of course Suwama. Nothing too significant of this match, but of course this match ended with Suwama applying a backdrop driver onto Musashi, and just like that, it was over. But of course Suwama, for whatever reason, he just walked out. I don't think he felt like celebrating because this is not his usual teammates that he teams. He normally teams up with his team, Baka something, I forgot their names, like Dan Tamra, Fuminori Abe, Hideki Suzuki, and Yuma Aoyagi. So that kind of sets it up right there. Our next match, we have tag team action. We have Shotaro Ashino and Dan Tamra taking on the winners of the Real World Tag League, the Saito brothers, Jun and Ri. Now, of course, Jun and Ri are a force to be reckoned with when it comes to tag team status in All Japan. But you would ask yourself, could, of course, Ashino and Tamara have stood a chance? I mean, they could have. But however, when it comes to the Saito brothers, they stood no chance. It was Jun who applied a sidewalk slam onto Tamara, and just like that, adios, it was over. Now, our next match, we have Ryu Anu Kento Miyahara and Davey Boy Smith Jr. taking on the faction known as Elpida, consisting of Yuma Anzai, Ryuki Honda, and of course Ren Ayabe. So, of course, Elpida has been proven they are a worthy adversary. But however, it was of course Anzai that was able to pick up the win when he pinned Anu, and just like that, it was over. So practically, that's a done deal. 1, 2, 3, it was over. So as of right now, I don't know when if there is going to be another event from All Japan before the end of the year. But if there is, I hopefully get to review it for all of you. But for now, we'll leave things as it is and move on to our last and final review, and that is, of course, Ring of Honor. Okay, our last review, Ring of Honor, opened up with Bishop Khan taking on Lee Johnson. Now remember, Khan's tag team partner, Teo Leona, defeated Lee Johnson a week ago, which led, of course, to a confrontation between Leona and EJ and Duca. However, now Lee Johnson takes on the other half of the Gates of Agony. So you don't know what to expect. Now, of course, many of you would think if he was unable to succeed to defeat Teo Leona, what makes you think that Johnson wouldn't pull off a miracle against Bishop Khan? I mean, yeah, it seems like it's the possible story, but there were moments when, of course, Teo Leona targeted Lee Johnson's knee. But luckily, Lee Johnson decided to use the jackknife, which was a bit of an effective, to put him down. And just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. But of course, Teo Leona was not going to take that kindly that his tag partner lost to a guy he defeated. But however, EJ and Duca was not going to stand by and let Teo Leona hurt his tag partner. But sooner or later, both teams will have to face off each other. So we will see where that leads. Now, we did see a bit of an interview with Alicia Atout talking to our current Ring of Honor Pure Wrestling champion, Lee Moriarty. Now, of course, as you know, he's been so far dominant in the Pure division. However, he decided to put an open challenge for the Pure Wrestling title at Final Battle. So the real question you ask yourselves, who will be the one to answer the call? That's going to be a very, very tough question. Now, we do see another interview, but this time with Arcady. She talks to Red Velvet and Layla Hirsch. Now, it appears that they're going to have a match against each other. Red Velvet will defend the Ring of Honor Women's World Television title against her. So that's going to be a very interesting thing we're going to see. So they said what they need to say, but can Red Velvet maintain that status? We just have to wait and see. Now, our next match. Whew, did it just cut cold or what? Oh, yeah, we have Lady Frost taking on Queen Aminata. Now, I'm not going to take away. Both these ladies are fantastic. I mean, Lady Frost, she's the coolest wrestler. And of course, Queen Aminata is a very impressive wrestler. So you wouldn't expect so much. However, we have recently seen how much Queen Aminata has developed. She even applied that deadly submission move she displayed a while back, and it was effective, allowing her to pick up another successful win. Now, as you know, the Righteous, these scumbags, once again decided to play their dirty tactics and mind games. They attacked Dustin Rhodes at his wrestling school by making him bleed in the middle of the ring. However, that piece of garbage, Vincent, decided to call Sammy to get into their heads. But the real question is, will that be effective for them to gain the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles? That's the obvious question we will see on Final Battle. Now, our next match, we have the Iron Savages, Bronson and Boulder, taking on the Murder Machines. We're talking about the combination of Lance Archer and Brian Cage. I have to say, you would think that this was going to be a tough battle because these two teams are giant behemoths. This would have been a house fight if you don't see one. But however, just like Lance Archer said, everybody dies. So the person who ended up doing that was Bronson after a choke power bomb, put him down, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. Now, as you all know, this is the final go home show before Final Battle. As you know, Giolito wants to reinvent, of course, Ring of Honor, but QT Marshall, as you know, who I like to say he's the biggest crybaby of them all, and a bit of the attention seeker, decides to, I want to have a match against Jay Lethal. So basically, they have a face-to-face confrontation with Ian Riccaboni being the mediator. But however, things escalated. QT attacked Jay Lethal. I'm sure this is not going to go unpunished in any way possible. Our next match, I have to say, this was a pretty good match. We have Serpentico taking on Sidney Akeem. Yes, the very Sidney Akeem you guys know as Scripps or Reggie. So it was a fantastic match. I was so blown away by this match in every possible. Many people can say that Sidney Akeem is a very innovative wrestler. And he was. I have to say it was pretty good. Some of you may have thought that maybe Sidney Akeem would have won this match. No, Serpentico was able to take the win when he applied a swanton, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we have Billie Starkz and Athena taking on Misa Kate and Blair Onyx. Now, of course, when it comes to Athena, she's a bit of the attention seeker, acting that she is the head of the table, that sort of thing. And that's exactly what she did throughout this match. Athena picked up the win when she applied a submission on Blair Onyx. But however, when it comes to Athena, Billie Starkz knows the kind of attitude she is. She intends to use the belt to finish off her opponent. But Billie Starkz decided enough is enough. But the one thing that pissed off Athena is when Billie Starkz destroys the belt itself, which was a gift by her bestie, Lexi Neer. And of course, Athena went on a rampage on her, beating the crap out of her. But the real question is, how will that fold up until we get to Final Battle? Well, we'll see what happens. Our next match, we had the grizzled young vets teaming up with the members of Shane Taylor Promotions, consisting of our Pure Wrestling champion Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor, taking on the combination of Dark Order Evil Uno and Alex Reynolds, and along with the Undisputed Kingdom, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. So you know how this was going to go out. However, we know the Grizzly Events and Dark Order have been going back and forth recently. But however, it was Lee Moriarty who picked up the win when he pinned Bennett but used the ropes. Once again, of course, Lee Moriarty thinks he's going to get away with it, but sooner or later, it's going to come back to haunt him. So we will see what happens down the road with them. So for right now, we'll end things here with all the reviews and move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming events with the promotions. We have two updates coming from GCW for 2025. As you know, we have the Thank Me Later event on the 11th of January of 2025 in Columbus. They just announced Ali Catch will be in action to take on Zeta Steel. So that's going to be interesting. And then, of course, on the 26th of January in London for the live event, Effie will take on Kara Nor. So that's going to be a very fun match. Now, as you know, we'll have Ring of Honor's final battle. They just announced at the 0 hour, Hanako, who is a Stardom talent, will be in action to take on Harley Cameron. So that's going to be a very interesting thing to see. Now, for those who know, we have finally the full card of the upcoming Stardom event by the end of this year, Dream Queendom. So this is what we have. Our first match, we have Yuna Mizumori and Aya Sakura of the Cosmic Angels. They take on Chi-Chi and Matoi Hamabe. Then we have Rane Agami taking on Sayaka Kurara. And then we do have Mina Shirakawa, Waka, and Hanako Rian taking on Saki Kashima, Lady C, Tomoka Inaba versus Raka, Rina, Fukigen Def, and Azusa Inaba. Then we have Mayu Iwatani, Azuki, Koguma, and Momo Kogo versus Azumi, Mei Sera, Suzuki, and Miyu Amasaki. Then we have the special match set up by, of course, Shuri to take on Konami, a match where you win either by KO or submission, so that's going to be a fun. Then we have Sayori Anu versus Miku Iwata from Sendai Girls, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Then we have a no disqualification between Maika versus Natsuko Tora. Then we got the Goddesses of Stardom, which is the tag belt. Momo Watanabe and Tekla will defend their belts against Hanan and Saida are winners of the tag league. And then we have the white belt match. Natsuko will defend her belt against Starlight Kid. And then we have the red belt. Tam Nakano defends it against Saya Kamitani. So that's practically the full card of that. More interesting developments. As you all know, Sumi Sakai has set up a match that will put her, that of course will be her final. She talks to Hiromu Takahashi to having a 6-person tag match. So Hiromu has picked his first partner, and that person is none other than the icon Mayu Iwatani. So the real question is, who will be the third partner? But who is Sumi Sakai have picked? That's a good question. So we haven't heard anything yet. As you know, the Rhodes Wrestling Academy just had a recent event. They just announced a new one for 2025 called High Tension, so that's going to be interesting. I haven't seen the recent one yet, but we'll get to that at some point. But for now, we're done with this part of the news updates. Let's move on with some developments. Now, for those who remember, Meiko Satomura will be retiring by April of 2025. One of her students and once part of the Sendai Girls roster uh, informed us that, of course, Meiko Satomura wants to be in a match against her in a tag match at GLEAT. As you all know, Michiko used to be part of Sendai Girls, and now she's with GLEAT. She did put out a bit of a small press conference showing her emotions, and she was gladly honored that this was going to happen. So, yeah. Fightful Select reports that Kenny Omega will be making his return to AEW at World's End. So that's what sources are saying. We don't know what's the extent of that, but we will see. TNA has their annual year-end award for 2024. For the Knockout of the Year is Jordan Grace. Tag Team of the Year, the ABC, Chris Bay and Ace Austin. 2025 one to watch, Leon Slater. And then finally, Moment of the Year, say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. Yep. So that's pretty much what took place. Now, many of you who know this about Billie Starkz, her actual theme that she uses when she's in the Independence, she plays Blink 182 Aliens Exist. She's been asking Tony Khan if it's okay to use it at Final Battle. So this is what she said. I've said to Tony Khan to his face, I've said it during a media conference that I will continue to boast about it until I get it. I don't know if it's going to happen. I truly don't think I would know until I showed up at the building and heard playing throughout the arena. This is coming from Fightful Select. Now, recently, West Coast Pro, along with another promotion called Big Time Wrestling, they're going to do a collaboration later on on April. So there's more details coming out for that. So there's a lot of statement coming. However, our final development here, many of you know this or not, we've been hearing now there's been some back and forth between Unagi Sayaka and Tam Nakano. As you know, they will be facing off each other on the 3rd of January. And Unagi had this to say. I looked at Tamu's X for the first time in a while, and it's becoming just a promotional account. So I thought it had been hacked. LOL. If Tam Nakano loses the red belt now, she have nothing to brag about, so she should be at least protected this much. And that will be the end of Tam Nakano's farce. Tam Nakano responded to that. If Tam's X's hacked account, then Unagi's account is more than a promotional bot. We should be grateful that we have so much to promote for each other. Do you wear the belts to brag? Your asshole is still as tiny as ever. Small minded. That's why they call you Anal Unagi. Wouch. That's crazy. And then finally, of course, we have Natsumi Showzuki from, of course, what's her from Mighty Gold, our current Superfly champion. She has talked about traveling overseas, so she still desires it, but nothing has been called. I don't know exactly, because we do know that Mighty Gold and WWE have this thing going on. That is something we don't know yet, but we will see where that leads. So we'll follow more on that at some point. But I think that's pretty much it what we have. So let's just call it a day. Okay. So for our next episode, we do have, of course, AEW Rampage and Level Up and possibly Final Battle. Now, as we do speak, there is a Stardom event. I haven't seen. I don't know if I'll be able to see it, but if I do, I'll make it. I'll make it a mission to make it happen. But for now, we'll leave things as it is. We'll see how the day will turn out. But for now, I will say this, that I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.